How do you start conversations? Wow, there will be no drinking. Did I only pick short ones? Maybe all the long ones are going to be at the end. Let's see. How do you... Hey, haha, I know my joke was... Fine, shut up. How do you start conversations? I don't know why I chose this one, because upon further reflection, when I really sit and think about it, I think I've mentioned this before, but while I'm not necessarily shy, I don't really start conversations. So I guess I can tell you the way that people start them when they come up to me, and we start talking. Usually it starts off, with some kind of, like, nicety, like, oh, how's the weather, but way less lame than that. Like, for example, if we're at a live show, man, I love this artist, yeah, me too. But then you don't let the niceties continue on further than that, because then it just sounds like you're trying too hard. After that, you need to kind of just jump in with, hey, here's the reason that I started talking to you, you know? And if it's something like, maybe you relate to that person, like you saw them wearing like a shirt for a band that you like or something, or maybe you know them, friend of a friend, etc. Then you can just kind of like jump into it. If the person isn't nori in conversation and that makes you feel strange inside, just give up and move on. There's no shame in that, you know? Some people just don't want to talk to you, and that's cool. Maybe someday you'll find someone who does. I think that you will. I certainly have. But at the same time, that just because it's happened to me doesn't mean it'll happen to everyone. Stop being silly, Calli. I just think that there's no use in trying to push conversations that aren't going to go anywhere. So that's some advice I'm going to give you. If someone doesn't want to talk to you, then you can probably tell pretty easily. And if you can't, you will eventually. And as soon as you do, just give up. Just give up. Don't keep going for it. You and the other person are going to be a lot happier if you recognize there's nothing to talk about. And you move along. Thanks, Calli. You're welcome. But let's go on to a situation where you do find someone that wants to have a conversation with you, and all's going well. Just focus on things that you have in common, and don't become an interviewer. That's a big mistake that I've made in the past. You know, they tell you if you want to make friends, you should always express interest in the other person, and like in things about them, and never always only talk about yourself. And that's the advice that you get a lot of times. But then you end up accidentally sounding like an interviewer of some kind when all you do is ask questions about someone, you know? People in conversations don't only want to answer questions about themselves to you. You know, believe it or not, if they've gotten that far in a conversation with you and haven't been short with you, then they probably want to know a little bit about you too. So feel free to talk a bit about yourself as well. The words to live by. No one ever wants to tell me what they're up to. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. But maybe they just don't want to get in your way. Maybe they just don't want to impose themselves upon you, you know? I know you can't always assume that, but that's one way to kind of think about it if you're feeling down about it, because to be honest, that's how I get sometimes, deadbeats. Sometimes I just don't want to impose. I feel like I'd do a lot more collabs if I just stopped being so introverted waiting for people to come to me. I just don't want to get in the way, you know? I don't want to be all, you know, Maywalk kakate and whatever, you know? Getting in the way and stuff. But it's seldom actually like that. Yeah. You know, I think a lot more people want to know what you're up to than you think. Even if it's just one or two, I bet it's not no one. And if you feel like it is, well, come hang out at my live stream and feel free to tell my chat. I'm sure someone will be like, hey, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Unless it's like TMI. In that case, like, you don't need to tell us everything that you're doing if it's something that we just, like, don't need to know. Listen! Hold on. No TMI, am I sleepy? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Just a little bit. I put a pun in the description? I sure did. It's not a cover-up. I never spelled it wrong in the first place. I knew what I was doing since the beginning. I know how to spell the word marshmallow. We're gonna keep reading the questions or else we'll be here all night. Deadbeats. Next up. What were you